everybody, and welcome to Aspects of Design, and that's interior design. And my name is Karen Salenrod, and I've been practicing interior design for over 20 years, so I've got lots of experience. But I am NCIDQ certified, which is real important. It's the National Council for Interior Design Qualification, and that is the licensure exam for all 50 states of the United States of America. Not all 50 states are licensed. Michigan does not have the license. They used to have the list, but it keeps getting repealed. But Florida does have licensure, and I am a licensed interior designer for Florida. It's called the Florida Registered Interior Designer number ID 5262, and we're supposed to say that. I'm also a professional member of ASID, and they do honor the NCIDQ exam for their professional membership status. So that's also important. Today's show is going to be about draperies, the fun, the importance. So we're going to show samples of fabrics, we're going to show drawings, and I'll wrap it up with slides of some finished draperies and some nice dramatic rooms. So we'll get started. Draperies, they have many purposes. The most obvious is sun control and then privacy. But then you have the aesthetic perspective in which draperies can enhance the room and create a sense of place. And they add luxury and elegance. They can form the backdrop for whatever is placed in front of them. They can be ornamental, they can move or be stationary, and they can have one more important thing, which is thermal protection for the room. And then in a warm climate or a cold climate, draperies can offer protection against sun or heat. But you have to know a little bit about fabrics and how they handle humidity and how they drape and how they protect and how they look when they're translucent and the sun shines through them, because they can change the colors, see. So I've got quite a few samples here to show you, and this will give you some kind of an idea, but it's also good to ask a professional. Then you'll have real information on the fabric performance, the fibers, and the drapability. So we'll just get started here. I've got some books. These are from the library, the Lone Pine Library here on Telegraph and Lone Pine. This is a wonderful example of draperies. This is the Malmaison in France. This was Josephine and Napoleon's room. Josephine was a really good interior fashions. A lot of the French gals were the French queens. So this has draperies on the walls, and it has draperies around the bed, and it has beautiful bedding covering, and of course, lovely, lovely rugs. So that's this one. This is another one. This is our King Ludwig, and this is a beautiful regal space, lovely wood carvings and gold gilt and medallions and so forth, and then blue velvet. Here's another one, a little bit more modest, but it's so lovely too. Bright colors and beautifully done. Very unique in the inside and scallop trim and so forth. So that's one book. This is another book. The library got this for me. I asked for it. And it is a wonderful book. It's written by, let's see if I can get the page out, Jenny Gibbs. And it's Curtains and Draperies, the History, Design, and Inspiration, which is wonderful. They talk about the Renaissance period, which is one of the very early periods, of course. And at that time, they had a lot of beautiful fabrics in clothing, and they had shutters around the windows and draperies around the walls and around the beds at that time. So that's what she writes about. She has her own school in England. And this is another interesting room with draperies around the doorway, which is very unique. But it's lovely. At that time, it was quite prevalent. Here are more draperies around the bedding. This has several layers of draperies and then plumes of feathers and the lovely ceiling. Here's another lovely drapery treatment here. And this is a wonderful room with beautiful ornate ceiling, chandelier, and all the beautiful draperies swagged, and it's hooked up underneath an upholstered cornice here in the windows. A lovely example of draperies. And this is another pretty room. Beautiful boiserie, and the draperies look like they're all silk, and the whole thing will go down and cover the entire window and then come back up again. So that's a wonderful way to do a window. This is a wonderful room I put in here because of the earthy tones. It's beautiful, and then you've got the cove ornaments, but then the window treatments. They have swags and jabot and side panels, and it's very beautifully done. This one, I couldn't resist this one. Look at the beautiful shape on the upholstered. Well, it's not really upholstered. It's kind of a valance cornice kind of a thing. It's a combination of swags and all kinds of things, but it's lovely in standing panels. And then here is another one with Beautiful, beautiful repetition of color around the room, ornamentation, trims, and then the swags and the draperies themselves. And then we've got this room, lovely, lovely palmettes, the carvings in wood, and then this little valance shows through here with roping and tassels, and then the lovely draperies with tiebacks. And then this is the last one in the book. I loved it because it shows it's around a doorway to the conservatory. So you've got lovely draperies swagging here, and then rosettes, and then tassels all around to show off the frame, the entrance to the conservatory. So that's really cool. Okay, so then we've got fabrics to show you, and these are lots of fun too. This is an interesting thing. One of the very first things I got here, I'm so excited to find it. This is a beautiful fabric, real pretty little linen fabric, and you can put fur with it, and all these different colors could work in the room, and this could be lovely draperies also. And then we've got, more colors and different things can go in a room like this. But the fun part about this room is, now what if we took and here we go, the wallpaper. This is new on the market, but this could be really pretty in this room as well, you see. But what if we did something like put the fur on the windows, and then you can have something like this where you have fur on the windows and then match it in the upholstery pieces. And if you did it in color, then it would look like this here, see? So you got this fabric, and then you got the green in between, and you got the fur on the valance, and this would be the chair. And then you could really do something magnificent, which is add the tassel. Here's a tassel with feathers. It's being discontinued, but boy, is it a lovely tassel with beautiful colors, which would go great in this kind of a room. So I was excited to show this today. And then we'll set this all aside, and I've got some more things to show you here, some more color combinations. Let's see if I can get this out of the way in a hurry. So, so here's this one, and we'll just set this aside over here. Here's some more color combinations. It's just nice to see where you could put the draperies, or what you could put on the draperies. Here's a velvet with the bird. It could be an upholstered cornice. It could be on the upholstery. It could be just about anywhere. And then here's something that could be used for draperies. Here's a few more fabrics, and it gives you an idea of color. Now, I've used this particular fabric in a bedroom, and we lined it. And it was so nice because it really gave them thermal protection. It stopped the drafts and made the room a lot warmer in the winter. And after this winter, it's good to know about these things because, well, it's always nice to be able to save on our heating bills if we can, and so forth. So that's this one. Now this one is a lovely, lovely thing. This one is a pretty, we have a little tiger here, and I think he goes this way. Or he's a leopard. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I think he's a leopard. And so this is really pretty. All the little pretty colors that can go with this here. And here we go. All the pretty colors. And here's a tiger to go with it. And here's a fur. We got another fur. And here's some more colors. This might have nice drapeability. It's a little stiff. Would have to be worked with a little bit. And then this is a pretty fabric also that could go with this one. And then the lovely wallpaper again with this new wallpaper with all the beading on it could be pretty in this room. And then voila, we've got the carpeting. So we've got the whole room put together here with draperies and everything. So that's lots of fun. So I'm going to set this aside and show you some more fabrics here. Whoops, we'll put that over there. And this is other fabrics I've got here. There we go. I wanted to show you the miscellaneous next. I got a whole bag full of miscellaneous, but we have in my special little bag here. I've got things to show you. Here we go. This is silks on the top here. We've got silks, and they're lovely to work with. They're not durable particularly. They have good tensile strength, but their abrasion resistance is not particularly the best. So you don't want to put them on a piece of furniture that you use a lot. I've used them on bedspreads, I've used them in draperies, and quilted them, and outline quilt or whatever. This, lovely materials, lovely fabrics. This is a linen. Linens will wrinkle, and they'll wrinkle. Here's another view of this, the same fabric, but this time it has a different colorway completely. This is a beautiful draping fabric. It just folds so nicely and drapes so nicely. This would be a nice fabric to use someplace. And this nice fabric too. Here's a beautiful chenille. Again, better for upholstery. It'd be real heavy in draperies, but it could be done. This is a wonderful happy elephant. So, you know, you can feast your eyes on this little guy. This can be used in all kinds of things. Sometimes these cottons wear better than you expect, but it's not still for a high, let's see what it says here. It gives us some, Weizenbeek, 8,000 double rubs. So that's not particularly a high use area. Here we have our chameleon. This is more earthy tones again. And then this one is so fun. It's full of birds. Here's his tail here. Let's see if we can turn it this way. Here's his tail, but the stitchery in here is so unusual with these little knotted stitches. So that's a great thing to see. This is a lot of fun. Okay, I'm going to sweep this out of the way, and you got a couple more here. New on the market. It's stiff. You'd use it for pillows, for upholstery and upholstered cornices. We've got leopards, and we've got some more chenilles, which are fun to see. It's just enjoyable, you know, because you can use them in so many things. This has lots of colors in it, this one here. And I've got this one here that I had in my bag, so I might as well show it to you. It has a nice draping quality, which is really interesting to see. It just really drapes nicely, but it would be a little heavier. But there's lots of opportunities to do something special with a fabric like this one. Now we're going to go into lightweight fabrics, and the lightweight fabrics are fun because they're just so pretty. But again, you got to watch out for the moisture, and sometimes they wrinkle. The hems might go uneven in some of these linens. This is another pretty linen. It has wrinkle effect to it. This could be pretty in the windows. That's a shabby chic, you know. So this could be pretty in the windows with the sun shining through the pattern. See, you've got this lovely pattern, but you have to be okay with a little bit of wrinkling. This is a lovely fluttery fabric. I couldn't resist taking this one. These are woven wood blinds. Woven wood blinds, just all sorts of different patterns, some neutral, some earthy, and so these are available on the market. Shears. Shears are so nice to use. Shears, here we go, shears. This is an interesting shear. You could use it in as drapery, could be all kinds of things for this window. This is a nice drapeability. This fabric is really, it looks kind of limp, but when you put it in draperies, it will hang very nicely. This is another one. This is a sheer. Now this one might not drape as nicely, but when you have weights at the bottom a little bit and long draperies, it could be really pretty. Here's another one of the sheer draperies, new on the market. Here's one. It doesn't have good drapeability. It's a little stiff, but it's beautiful colors, and it could be fun to use someplace. And then we've got this one here, stripes again, beautiful color. It's a nice color, it's neutral, of course. But here we have dots. You see through the dots, which could be fun. You could have some play with the sun on that one. Here's another one that doesn't have good drapeability. It sort of is out there. It doesn't really drape real well. It has high luster, it has mystery, and it could be used, but it has to be used very carefully so that you really get a good feel for, it has to be used properly for the kind of fabric that it is, because it really is it's real sheer, and so it could be fun to use though. Nice challenges to use. Here's a batiste. These are nice. This is a pretty blue, and that takes care of these. Now, the next thing we want to know about is trims. Here's a pillow with jewel trims on it. And here's roping, examples of roping. It could be used, it'd be pretty with our nice little leopard, so to speak. And then we've got more trims. I've got all kinds of trims here. Beautiful trims, bands, tassels. Here's more tassels and bands. Here's a whole series of bands, which are kind of fun. And then here's some just beading on it, beading on the trims. Nice bands. You could put them on the leading edge, around the bottom of a sofa. You could put them in all kinds of places. And then here's, oh, isn't this pretty colors here? We've got a little tiger here in this one. And so, you know, you got botanicals and biophilic design and just cording, which can help, you know, tie in all your colors. And then we've got finials. Here's a lovely finial, which can be really pretty with a big 3-inch rod or a 2.5-inch rod. Beautiful big finial. This is a gorgeous one. And these are holdbacks. Now, sometimes you can use holdbacks to hold back draperies, or you can use them at the top as hardware, so you attach a drapery from underneath to it, which is really fun on an arched window. So I think that's it for our trims and things. So we're going to leave this, we'll set it aside here. We'll set this aside, see if I can move these things over. And I've got some drawings to show you here. We're going to slide this over. And here we go. So we've looked at these drawings, and here's another one I found on the internet. I just had to bring it in because it's such a pretty little drawing, and it has the curved wood cornice, and then it has carvings and gold gilt and roping and tassels, and then the tiebacks, and then the holdbacks, and it's just a lovely thing to see. This I did use for clients, and you'll see it in the slides later. And I did have this nice sort of meandering little lines that curled all over here and went past the upholstered cornice also. This is one that I did with somebody. We had bands, and then I even had I had strung beads for them for this one, and we had big tassels. Here's the other side of that tassel. We had different finials for these things. And then this is how it looks when it's done, and it had woven woods at the back of it. And the woven woods, they're rolled up all the way for this photograph, but it does have woven woods that come down. Then here is some big drawings of things. Let's slip this to the side. A little bigger presentation drawings. This one is fun because it has, this is in color, this one here, and we have the wall color. And then we have this big draping wall here with a lovely color of draperies, and then the valance, which is little swagged fabrics and tassels, and then we have the upholstered backdrop here, and then the bed sits in front of this thing. So this is pretty upholstered, and then we have the nightstands in the bed in front of it, and we have the repeat of the same fabrics over here in the window with shutters. So that's kind of pretty. And then I'm going to go back over here to drawings without color. These are drawings, and you'll see this again later also in our slides. This is a room where we did this, I'd say at least 20 years ago. And it was a new home construction. And then years later, the whole thing starts to fade and wear out. So we did it again, and you'll see this is the newest version of it. The same window, different way of doing a treatment. So that's kind of fun to see. And then this is one where we have nice, there it goes. We have nice balloon shades with pleats in them and a little flange. This was done in a guest room. This is a canopy bed, and we have all kinds of trims around the top and the bottom, and this pretty little fabric around the top here. And we had a band of it coming down the side. So this would have been this makes a lovely canopy for the bed. Here's something where we have swags going all one direction with finials on the top instead of the sides, and then standing panels. And then this is what we ended up with for this client. We tried several things to see what worked best for them. And this is a rod, and then there's just standing panels with tiebacks. So, and then here we have a room that is in a bay window. So there were 3 of these in a bay window, and we had these little ornamental golden, here's this little thing that we had here earlier, they're wooden and gold hardware, and then the draperies hang on these with tassels, and then tiebacks and holdbacks and roping in the middle. So that can be very dramatic and lovely. And then we have back to our nice little colored room. And then the next thing I've got here, we're keeping going here. Here's something else. This is the Egyptian room. Of course, it's the Egyptian style, but we've got some modern furniture in here. And of course, it's nice to look through and see through to the garden outside. And the garden, let's flip this aside here. And the garden outside is so nice to see through, but you got draperies to protect it from the sun and to give it some little privacy. And then around the top, we've got this border and then a valance to frame in the whole thing. So this is a very pretty thing to see. And then this next, here we have another view of a room with a lot of draperies that form the backdrop and set the stage for the whole thing that we put inside of it. So we've got this nice ceiling, and then these draperies here with a little bit of a Greek meander line here, and then these are swagged and tucked back, and we've got leading down the edge. We've got some trims, and so this makes a lovely room. And this little section here, this is three or four different phases of a wall. Here we have a mirror, and we got this lambrequin around this window and around this window, kind of an Art Deco kind of a feel. And then this last lambrequin creates a little scene where you have your chaise-longue, and you can have a nice little reading nook, so you can be cozy and read in your nice little private little spot there. So that's pretty much these things. We'll go to slides next, and we'll have some fun with the slides. So here we go. So the first slide here is, this was Lakewood Ranch in Florida, and this is the living room. Of course, you got the reds and the yellows and lots of happy colors, and then the tall ceilings, so we wanted some really tall draperies, but then we had didn't want them plain, so I had valances made with tassels around the bottom, some fringe, and the nice big rods. And then the next slide shows the master bedroom, and this has standing panels with shades that open and close. And then we had a upholstered cornice over those, and then matching fabric for the bed, which brings the whole room together and makes it a nice, more complete color scheme. And the next slide shows the poolside cabana for the Von Werner Estates ASID show house that was a while back. And I'm showing this because these are Batiste draperies on a cable rod. Cable rods were popular at that time, and behind the draperies are walls that are painted with some iridescent colors, and we have uplights behind the draperies. And so when the light hits these particular draperies, they start to glow. So you get a feel for like a fireplace. So for the midnight soiree that could be held here, you feel that there's a fireplace, but there really isn't. So that's kind of fun. Next slide shows a master bedroom. This is a hers. We had a his and hers in this particular home. This is a lakeside home here in Bloomfield Hills with a silk dust ruffle and silk staining panels, and we had a big dragonfly finials, and I painted them for them. And then we had the cable rods in this one also, tiny little pleats at the top of the draperies, and I had these little strings hanging down, and she says, "Oh, I want them in bows." So I we got a ladder from the installer, was still there, he left a ladder, and I tied the bows on every one of the pleats that are along the top, but it's a very pretty look when the whole thing was done. The next slide shows his bedroom. Now this one has a custom bed, of course, and this is that wild valance with the rolling sort of a ribbon around it, but you see it from the side, and there were woven wood blinds underneath it. So this is a nice drapery treatment for this room, and it coordinates with the bedding material. So the next slide shows us another room. This is around Lake Orion, very modern, sort of softer colors. These are very modern draperies. They're not swags. This is a scarf treatment. So it kind of swings around the valance that's upholstered, then it hangs down in a scarf type of a style. The next slide shows this is important windows in this. This is in Palmer Ranch, Detroit, or Palmer Park. These windows open. They swing right open. This is a more historical building. So I had upholstered cornices to bring in all the colors, and we have some colors of those in the pillows, but they cleared the windows, so the windows could open, and then we have shears with the heading top and bottom attached to the window, so they would get privacy and sun control, but yet they could still open and close the windows, which is real important. The next particular slide. This is a show house. This is this Boston Edison district. And of course we had this, the furnishings, not the furnishings, it was the homeowner's bed. The rest of the antiques I brought in for it. But the draperies we did quickly. I happened to have extra fabric, so we made something that was stylized and worked for this particular room, but didn't take away from the whole feel of the room. It had wonderful dimensions or proportions in this room. It was a very lovely building. The next one shows the loggia in the same building, and these we made swags with jabots and rosettes and tassel trim and all kinds of things to give it a wonderful decorative look. It doesn't really serve a purpose as far as sun or anything, but they're purely decorative, and it lends itself to create luxury in this particular room. The next slide shows us design live, and this bedding was made for this here. I called it Napoleon in Africa. So you see an alligator leather on the chair, but everything else is pretty well Napoleonic, and around the room is a frieze. It's a Greek mandolin. It is a little distorted in the photo, but there it is. The fabric is all around the room. I painted the fabric, but the bedding has the canopy with a chandelier inside the canopy. So Napoleon can sit on his bed, look at his maps, eat some nuts, and feel like he's a real regal king, and he's in Africa. So that was that one. The next slide shows, this is a design live again. I call this the nomads. They're on the beaches during the day, and then at the nightclubs in the evening, and then there's some coats hanging over the screen in case it's chilly out. They've got tic-tac-toe on the floor in an acrylic little game. But this, I got the GI surplus store. I got the mosquito netting in this green, and so I actually sewed the tent, and we actually were able to erect a tent, and I painted panels so it looks like you can see the forest beyond the mosquito netting to the right side of the photograph there. And then we added tassels for luxury and luxe, so you have to have a nice little cozy luxury spot here. And the next slide shows, this is a Hooray Sensor Night, and they made sensors for the automobile engines, and there are no draperies in here, but we have fiberglass walls. And I designed these, and the fiberglass is frosted, sort of, so to speak, so it holds the light. So you feel the window beyond, but they have privacy, and they have created a little nook for this little sitting area, and they could come here and sit and talk to people, and then run back to their offices, and it sort of helps to control the traffic, but gives them light and airiness all at the same time, which is good for for what they're representing, which is fresh air because of their this little tiny little thing that they make. It's really tiny. It's a little plant and a part for emissions control. The next slide is important. This is this room that we did the draperies several times, or this was the second time. And we repainted, we upholstered the furniture, put in new carpeting, did the draperies. So they have a whole new room, a whole new feel, but even though it's the same colors, it's all refreshed and renewed, and they feel happy and snug and yet elegant in this particular room. The next slide is the master bedroom. And there are two windows on both sides of the headboard on this bed, but we've covered them up. They could open them. These are moving draperies, so they can be opened. Quite often they want them closed so they don't get woken up at 6 in the morning in summer. You know how that is. Above the bed is another window. That's a shade. We just leave it closed most of the time for the same reason. You could get woken up by the sun on a Saturday morning when you'd ready to sleep in. So that's this room. And then the next slide shows the sitting room, which is off this master bedroom, and we repeated the fabric from the draperies. And around the door, I have panels of fabric. You can see inside, and then there's swags inside with shears, so they have privacy, but some more color. And then the chair and a halves have, again, bring the colors through to this room. Then next slide, we've got a guest room. This is, they call their Rococo room. It's had some equestrian elements in this room. You see the painting has horses, and there's horses in the pillows. And then we have these wonderful balloons to give it a little bit more luxury and happiness, and the whole room has a nice feel to it because of the colors and so forth. So That's always important for people to feel comfortable in a guest room. The next slide shows a master bedroom with shades that go up and down, and these are lined. So in winter time with these big windows, if the person is in their bed, they can pull the shades all the way down and they will get thermal protection from that big window because the draperies are lined. So that makes a big difference in a room. But it has all the colors of the room and the bedroom and the pillows. It echoes all the colors. So the next slide we've got here is a living room, and we found the oriental rugs that you don't see too well here, but there's red in them, so we have red in the fabrics, and we repeated the fabric on the cornices over the windows, and we have sheers for sun protection and privacy. And then we have the red around the fireplace only so that we have a little bit of a focal point in this room. So we have a nice focal point, and then from there the colors sort of drift off and still continue around the room, which is, if you, in design school, they talk about the colors have got to, repetition and rhythm of color makes a beautiful room. So there you see it. The next slide shows another room. This is on a lake, and it's a big dramatic window. So we had layers of draperies, two levels of them. And then the middle level has swags, and it echoes the colors from the area rug, a nice, beautiful, big traditional rug. And then we've also made some pillows, so we have the colors coming around the room. And this is a lovely room. In the winter or summer, it shows off the lake. It's not too heavy, but yet it gives drama and a nice backdrop for this living room. And then going on with the next slide, we've got, was new home construction, and these are drawings I've done so that our team who makes the draperies can see what goes in which room. So that's always important. The next slide shows a gross eel, pretty little bedroom with fabrics on the window that match the bedding and nice colors in the closet doors, and the whole thing comes together and makes a lovely, cozy luxe room for people to sleep in, and you have good dreams in rooms like these. So the next slide shows a pretty cozy little corner. This is a window in a little bit more of a modest-sized house, but it's still cozy. We have the yellows and the blues and some pinks in here, and you can entertain guests and be happy and feel the sun, and yet you have privacy and some sun protection. So I think that's the end of the slides. Is there any more? Oh, that's it. So that was the end of our show. That was the end of our slides. So I hope you enjoyed these. So today we discussed draperies, the fun, the importance, and the enjoyment of working with the fabrics. So I hope you enjoyed our show today. And next time on our show, we're going to talk about design and helping the earth and how you can do it even in your own home and how it can help you too. So I hope you'll join us again. And in the meantime, my name is Karen Salenrod, and this has been Aspects of Design. So I want to thank you for coming, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.